Morning, everybody. It is 8:26 a.m. It is February 18th. Welcome to my channel. Yesterday had a wild open. Again, we had to sweep liquidity twice to the downside before moving up. And then there was a slight little, selling at the top because we were in that heavy supplied area that I talked about pre-market. Now, right off the jump when we opened, we did exactly what I said because we swept the low, went up to the liquidity, hit it, and then it was crazy. The market was wild. That's the negative gamma. That was the VIX at like a 21 and change or 22 or something like that. Now the VIX is under 20. Okay. And what we're doing is we're in this range now. And we're hitting basically imbalance to the upside from the poor structure in between the range above us. Then you have poor structure. And then you have this new range we're in. So the question is today, do we migrate back to the old range or do we stay in this range? Okay. That's really what's going on. Okay. We got FOMC minutes today. There's a lot of stuff going on with Iran. Crude is up. Let me see if they're still up yet. Crude's up because of that. All right. So that's what's going on driving crude this morning. Okay. Probably why silver and gold are up as well. Geopolitical reasons, right? So, with that being said, let's get right into it. And I did not take a trade yesterday. Welcome to my channel. My name is Steven Gonzalez. I use market profile and volume profile to define structure of the market, almost supply and demand, gamma exposure levels, the most traded price of the year, the month, the week, and the previous day. That is my edge. That's how I come up with game plans. Also use market internals, anchored VWAPs, some ICT concepts, and then my weekly expected move indicator. Okay, that you can get on my Discord. Okay. Now, hopefully, follow me every morning. Subscribe, set an alert, give you the market story, the market news, the economic calendar, technical analysis, and a follow-up usually every day with the long and short trade scenarios in the NASDAQ and the ES futures. Okay. If you want more in-depth coverage, I've been going live every day. So join my Discord, Confluence Trading. Go to my YouTube homepage, click on the link, sign up. What are you waiting for? Let me be your indicator, okay? I've been making changes to my Discord with the help of an AI agent, all right? Giving morning preps, some market news throughout the day, gamma levels, specifically flip points, my expected move, obviously indicator has been in there as well. And if you go to the top and the explanations of both of those channels, it gives you a little education primer on why I use them. Okay. Now the gamma levels will be posted at 9:40 a.m. Those are very pivotal levels in SPX, QQQ, and SPY. So feel free to look at those. Now this week, just to get clarification on that, I don't do weekly flip points because this is OPEX. This is monthly expiration on Friday. So the weekly and the monthly are the same. Okay. The weekly and the monthly are the same. So you'll only see the yellow highlighted monthly gamma flip points on my gamma flip points. Next week, there'll be new weekly and new monthlies again, just to let you guys know that. Okay, let's go right into the futures watch list here. Okay, silver leading the pack up 3.79. Crude up 2.55 with the stuff in Iran. Gold up 1.45. Nasdaq's up 0.54. Nvidia, Meta is going to buy their chips. It's sending the Nvidia up. All right, Dow's up 0.27, the dollar's up 0.11, the 10-year yield is up 0.10. Russell's up 0.09, 30-year bonds being sold. Bitcoin still having problems, down over 0.5%. Ethereum down over 0.5%. The VIX is down 2.5%. So we're going to have, we'll see, we should have a little less volatility so far this morning. A lot of orders hitting the tape right now. Okay. Now we're moving on to the Mag 7 Plus here. And you can see NVIDIA with Meta buying chips is sending the stock up 2.23%. Amazon's up 1.37. Coinbase up 0.80. All right, a bunch of stocks are up. Okay. Now who's down? AMD. I don't know why right now. They're down 2.10 cents. Maybe the meta news. Maybe. Not sure. Top sectors. Palantir is up 3% this morning. 3%. Followed by Chevron, Exxon up 1.44 and 1.35. Mining up 1.31. Those are your winners this morning. My GEV still a rock star. It's at $828. That's crazy. I own that thing at like 260 or 280. One of those. It's friggin' nuts. Okay. Now, lagging today is Walmart. Lagging today is Walmart. We're going to move on to sectors here. Semis leading the pack. This essentially means risk on, usually when semis are up 1.28%, followed by energy. But that could be the canary in the coal mine, because energy, you usually don't want that to get too strong. Crude, you don't want to go up. That's usually not the best sign for the markets when energy goes up, right? Because these Iran things happening, that's generally not good. Okay, technology is up 0.5%. Discretionary is up 0.41, base materials up 0.38, industrials up 0.24, financials up 0.21. There is really not a laggard. I mean, Staples is barely down at all, and they don't even move markets. So, can this market break out of this range? I don't know at all if they can. Right? We never know. We never know. All right, let's go to the morning prep here. Okay, so bunch of these housing builder and Mitsko came out. All right, we have Atlanta Fed GDP. Is that even on there? Let me see. Just want to make sure I'm seeing is correct here. I don't know where that news came from, that GDP thing. Hold on, I'm just trying to make sure. Ignore that for now. I don't even see that there. That's obviously, I think, an error. But anyway, we have 1 p.m. Fed Bowman, 2 p.m. FOMC minutes. Okay, FOMC minutes, I hope not to be even trading by then. Should give us an insight to the FOMC meeting. Tech-led momentum continuing pre-market, driven by Citigroup's positive outlook on NVIDIA. Let's see here. Have continued focus on upcoming Fed minutes. Trump tracker today. There's not much involved. Just Levitt at 1. There's not much. Black History Month reception. Signing time Oval Office 4. That doesn't matter. Market's closed. This is where when my bot gets the prices here. Still within the expected moves. Okay, NVIDIA, you can see is up pre-market. Now the breadth. The bullish percent index of the S&P 500 is 60.80. 60% stocks are on buy signals. All right. The 50-day moving average. That's the percentage of stocks over the 50-day moving average. That's 65. That's still decent. And technology. Technology is at 44.93. That's still a little lagging. Okay, it was 27 not too long ago. And the X is going to be similar to the technology because it is technology. Okay, Bitcoin, we already know it's down. Okay, it's having some problems. All right, that's the little morning brief. Now we're going to go into some other news here. Okay, let's see. Palo Alto. Okay. Stock dropped 6.1% as the cybersecurity firm trimmed its annual profit forecast, signaling rising costs from recent acquisitions to enhance its artificial intelligence capabilities. NVIDIA stock rose 2.2% after the chip giant said it had signed a multi-year deal to sell Meta platform millions of current and future AI chips. Amazon stock gained 1.7% after regulatory filings showed Bill Ackman's Pershing Square grew its stake in the e-commerce giant by 65% in the fourth quarter, making the fund Amazon's third largest holding. Micron Technology stock rose 0.9% after David Tepper's Appaloosa management increased its holdings. SanDisk stock fell 2.7% after the hard disk drive maker Western Digital, up 1.9%, announced plans to raise $3.17 billion by selling some of its stake in this former unit through a secondary share sale. New York Times stock gained 3.4 after Berkshire Hathaway disclosed a 350 million stake in the publisher. Riot Platforms gained 5.7 after Starboard Value's significant stockholder delivered a letter to the infrastructure company leadership urging action on artificial intelligence and high-performance computing. Okay. All right. We know the Trump stuff already. Let's go to economic calendar. We already talked about. Let's go to here. Fed minutes could highlight shift in balance of risk as policymakers puts rates on hold. Walmart to tread with caution into 2026 as Ferner era begins. See, Meta Zuckerberg's face questioning at youth addiction trial. All right, we know about the Meta and Nvidia. I think I'm going to be ended there. All right, let's go over internals here. So on wild days like in the beginning, it's very hard to lean on internals. You can see that they were negative to start the day. So this is where I always tell my community, when it's super volatile like that, they're very hard to really lock in internals. These are crazy readings. We were down at negative 430, which in a regular, like say we're in positive gamma and the VIX wasn't as crazy, this is very weak. But when you're in high volatility, notice it went from all the way there to positive, got a little weaker, and then finished positive. Okay? With tech and semis leading the way yesterday. So I thought about a long in here because we swept liquidity again, like right in here. I believe I thought about a long, but at this point the internals were weak, so I was like, because and as soon as I do my little indicator myself, and I'm telling my room at the same time, I'm like, man, tech's like we just swept liquidity, but the internals are weak, but like, I don't know. It's I don't have a. I'm not like, ooh, I can't wait for this like I would normally. I'm more hesitant. I'm more like getting crossed signals. And whenever I get those cross signals, is my own indication to myself that, okay, this is not something you see generally. This is not something you see generally. No, not something you see generally. This is not something that you can capitalize on. If I'm going, but I don't like, like, and there's these cross currents, it's generally probably for me to stay away. Now, don't get me wrong. I saw a short earlier on in the session, and I was like, ooh, we're in this very sticky area here, but the market was strong. So then I was just like, that's another thing. And then what happened was, in front of my community, that short would have played out, but it would have took a very, very long time to play out. And then I thought about a long, but then we were in such heavy supply. You see what I mean? We were in such heavy supply that I'm like, I don't know, right? And then I said, watch it sell off at the end of the day. That's what it did. I went to food shopping. I just took a walk when food shopping. I was like, you know what? I don't want to force myself on this market with the cross current. Okay? So this internals were just like I was telling you. They were mixed. It wasn't something that I had a huge edge on them. My huge edge was just don't do anything. And when I feel myself trying to force something like, it's probably better off to just not trade. Okay? Now, let's move on to daily charts. All right, let's get these daily charts up here. All right, so yesterday, remember, this is Friday, all right? We swept the low, okay? And then we played around with last week's close. Didn't even touch Friday's highs, okay? Not the easiest of days. Like I said, with all the mixed signals. Now, where are we now? 685s. 685 was the monthly gamma flip point yesterday. So that's crazy. I don't know if it's going to be the flip point today. It probably will again. Like I said, I give those levels out. So I'll just to show you here in my gamma levels channel here, right there. You see here that yellow monthly gamma flip point, SPY 685, QQQ 606. Okay, we're right there now. Now I don't know if that's going to be the flip point today. It could be. If it is, then that's a very important level. Okay, if we go over that and break it, puts us in positive gamma, and this volatility should slow down. All right. Now let's look at the futures. Futures here. Look at this mess. Okay, we just hit the 90 EMA daily. We just hit the 100-day moving average. Okay. All right. So future here, saying goodbye to my daughter, my wife here. All right. So right here at the 100-day moving average, 9 EMA daily, we just swept these two sessions. Okay. Right now, to me, we could pull back. We just swept these two sessions. Right now, we could pull back and go to the bottom. That would be the expectation right now. Okay, right now. So, let's go to Qs. So the Qs also swept the previous day's lows, right, and played around with last Friday's close. Closed here in the middle of Friday, which is garbage. All right. Now 602.75s. That's where we're at. We're at the upper third of yesterday's session. We were gapping up previously. This market is not easy. Okay. Now let's look at the futures. Okay, we did not sweep both days like in the ES. We swept yesterday's session. We're back here. We don't have the same thing, okay? But this also could fall apart. I don't know if it does, but it has this. It has a shot of, this is not bullish structure. Okay. So we'll have to see. This market is not easy at all. Okay. Now we're going to move on to the 1 hour charts. Let's see what's going on there. Okay. Okay. So let's do the first check. And I like to just look at the daily candle. And that's not telling us much, right? It's kind of middling. The last 4 hours has been bearish. Opened here, price is here. You can see the last 4 hours, right? So, what are we doing here? Okay, remember I said this could turn into a new range. This is the old range. Remember, right, there's poor structure in between these two ranges. Okay, there's a clear liquidity level right here around 60, right before 6,900. You notice how the market took that out, went right into this bearish fair value gap, which is right here, gave it problems. Okay, now the little tip, when you go into a bearish FEG, okay, and it gives you resistance, that is bearish. That is bearish. That's a telltale sign. That's bearish. Remember, if this is our range, we just came up to the top of it and failed in the bearish FEG. Okay, didn't even hit the month-to-date anchored VWAP yet. And you swept it, closed inside. Okay, now if we're going to work into balance, we should start to work that structure off, and you could go to the most traded price of the week and then work your way down to the other side of balance. Okay, this does not look bullish to me. Yes, there is a bullish FEG here. There is demand here, but we're at the top of a balance area. Whoever was long here is now either out or they're struggling to hold on to it, and new shorts are coming in. Okay? So, very simple today. Very simple. You are going to pay attention to this range from the 69.05s, 04s, down to here, the 68.14, which is last month's lows. Okay, expectation, like I said, expectation, you just swept these levels, would be to go work down to here, and if that fails, you're going to work down to about 68.14s. Okay? I can't see this not being that similar in the NASDAQ, but we're going to look at it right now. Okay. First thing we do, let's look at it. That daily candle doesn't tell us much, right? Kind of like, The 4 hour is bearish. Okay? 4 hour is bearish. Now look what's happening. Okay? Look what's happening. And I'll even explain this in more detail when we get to the market profile, volume profile. Okay? Remember, this swing high was taken out. This one right here. But then we swept it. Look what we went into. A bearish FEG, right? We swept these two highs. Closed down here. Underneath the most traded price of the week. Now, we could start working off. This is not the best structure in the overnight. You could definitely work yourself off all the way down to 247s. You lose 247s, you go back down to the balance. Lows. Okay, same thing. Range up here. Range down here. Poor structure in between them. You got the resistance from the bearish FEG. Remember, these are temperature checks. They go both ways. Okay, they go both ways. When you get resistance in a bearish FEG, it's telling you, okay, this is resistant, that is bearish. It's respecting it, it's bearish. Because of the other side of the FEG, right, it is poor structure at the end of the day. Okay, and that if you strong market rips through that. One that's not sure or weaker gets resistance. Okay? So now that becomes a swing high for us. So I'm going to mark that off. Okay? This swing low does not matter anymore. Okay? So we came into here. Basically, this ray that I have across my crosshair, that was the swing high. It tried to break. It closed back under it. That is a confirmed sweep. My expected move would be to go and clean all this up. I would expect to hit the 247s. If that doesn't hold, we go down to around the 246. Okay? Understand the theme we're in. We're in balance. Any longs up here now are in trouble and new shorts are coming in, and these longs should have had to liquidate. They're going to start to liquidate their positions. Okay? That is your 1 hour chart analysis. Now, we're going to go over to and explain to you what makes this even more impactful when we look at the market profile and the volume profile. And I'll show you why. All right, so this is market profile, volume profile. And you'll see this is even more impressive, or why we should fall. Okay, so if we're looking at ES, notice, remember, in candlesticks you do not see volume, and I'm not talking about volume by time. That I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about volume by price. Okay? So look, our price is here at 68.07. Look at all of that volume. The most traded price of the overnight was right there. That is a bullish imbalance. You expect higher prices, but now we're not. So anybody who was long here is now in trouble. And the farther we go away from it, it's going to accelerate the move lower. And gravity should take over. Okay? So pretty much have a plan already because I just went about the hourly chart. I don't have to repeat myself. Okay? We know we swept liquidity to the upside. Okay? Another thing you have in your hat is the overnight inventory. You opened here with only this much short activity to this much long activity, but that no longer matters because the price is here. Okay? That's something I look at as well. Like I said, the expected move initially is going to be to the 68.48s, the most traded price of the week. Also, the week-to-day anchor V-ups right here. If we lose that, we're going to go at least to, like I said, the 68.08s, last week's lows. Okay? That's just how it works. We're in a balanced area. Okay, so we're going to start right off with our scenarios. So, first scenario we're going to talk about is a short. Okay, because that's what I expect to happen. Okay, we swept liquidity up here. Right into the bearish FEG, the purple box. Didn't even hit the month-to-date anchor view up. Now, what would I want? Well, there's an equal low here, right? Now, what you want to get here is this is a bullish FEG, and I put that there for a temperature check. Did that hold the market? Well, initially, you came down and you pushed back up out of this demand zone, right? But then if we close here in a 1 hour, this is negated. So this is telling me, okay, temperature check. Is this bullish FEG holding it? Not really. So, what do I want to see in a short? Even if we come down here and you get that premium, you want something to push back up into here, to not take out this, to get something in the supply. Maybe you get a lower high. Now you short that thing and you target 68.48s, the most traded price of the week, also the overnight low. Okay, now what could happen from here is, probability wise, this should make longs very nervous. And if you break this and start to hold, and you want to hold that position, maybe bring your stop up to here somewhere, and this should fall to at least last week's low, 68.08s, and then try to go for the 67.91s, which would be yesterday's lows. Okay? Now, one more could be a bull trap. If this thing fires off and breaks the overnight highs, taps the month-to-date anchor VWAP around 69.11, and does one of these again, that's also a short. Okay? That's all I care about for the shorts. Now, for the longs, not very interested in longs. Have to be honest with you, I am not interested in them. Now, so in this case, you will get a long to bite into. If you're a scalper, that's not my style. You will get some type of long. But that is a low probability trade. I want to go with where the flow is going to be. That was why my short is what I'm all about today. Okay? If I'm going to be long, honestly, maybe a scalp that I don't know about right now because intraday could change my mind. However, if we do one of these and it's like, all right, we get the sell-off that I call, maybe we tap into this demand, take out yesterday's lows, but then maybe we do this, whoop, and we come back into the range. Okay, that could be a long targeting the mean, 68.50. Probably the only thing I'd be interested in. Okay? And this would tell me if sellers have it in them yet. Because I was saying this in my community yesterday with one of my members. I was like, okay, sellers are here. But these lows should be blown apart if this market was truly weak and we wanted to sell. Real selling is like moves like an elevator going down. It's just not yet. We're not there yet. Okay? So that's your ES. Let's talk about the NASDAQ, okay? All right, let's talk about the NASDAQ. Now, as far as the 24 hours go, we are in ultimate balance, okay? The most traded price of the month is here. The most traded price of the week is here. This is ultimate balance. Rounded off to around 24777. That is the most heavy traded volume, period. Because this is a 24-hour chart, basically. I like to look at the real-time trading hours because that's a little more important of volume to me, but I don't ignore this. So this is the most heavily traded area of the last month in the last week. Even more where if we pass through this, we should fall pretty harshly. Okay? So what do we have? We went over it. We'll go over it again. Went into this bearish FVG. Got resistance. Bearish. We swept this and this swing high. Right? We just came a long way. We're in a balanced range. Okay? So, expected move would be to go lower. All right? Now that I see that this 248 to 24754 is ultimate balance now in the 24-hour chart, that should cause a very steep decline if we break through that level. Okay? So right off the bat, let's get into scenarios. And we're going to start with, right now, what I feel is the best probable trade, which is a short. Okay? Remember, resistance from the FVG, the bearish FVG. Okay? We just are trying to break this bullish FVG in demand right now. About to go into ultimate balance. I still expect it move would be to the downside. So, what do we need to look for? Any kind of buying that does not take out the overnight highs into this bearish FVG. Hits the current most traded price of the week, 249s. And then you want to see it take out that swing low and push down to the overnight lows. Once you get this push, okay, and if this market internal start to get weak, there's not much holding this back from going down to last week's lows, 24578, and down to yesterday's lows. Okay? It's just how it works. Take advantage of the gravity. We just got to sweep. Okay? Now, can it break this and go higher? Of course. Right now, that's not my expectation. Okay? Now, of course, get a bull trap here. You break those, you sweep these overnight highs. Maybe you go up to this level, which we haven't broken, the 24995s, basically 250s. Another one, if you did that and all of a sudden you find yourself back inside this range again, that's a short. Okay? That's what I'm looking for today. Now, as far as longs, like I said, I'm not a favor of them right now. I'm just not. Really just not. So, yes, we're in demand. Okay? Yes. If we hold ultimate balance, okay, maybe. But this is pretty significant. Okay? So, what do I want to see? Now, I didn't show this in the ES. Now, if we do something like this, right? And I go, "Oh, that changed." Right? And it'd have to be strong internals for me to get involved here. And there's some pullback, then I would get long. Maybe. But the real truth of the matter is I need something like this to go, okay, big demand zone here, take out yesterday's lows, come back into range, get a lower high, higher low, and then get my teeth into some long here. Maybe that happens before FOMC minutes. I don't know. Okay, I'm not a fan of a long. Just not. Okay, I'm really not a fan of it. Okay, folks, that's it for me today. Smash the like button if you enjoyed that analysis. That would mean a lot to me, help my channel out. All right, now as always, you join me every morning. Subscribe, set that alert. I give you the market story, the market news, economic calendar, the leaders and the laggards, technical analysis, and I just gave you long and short trade scenarios in the Nasdaq and the ES futures. I hope you appreciate this because I didn't have this when I was trading earlier on. Did not have something like this, right? Where someone was breaking down the mechanics of the market. I just did not have something like this. I did watch this Futures Trader 71 where he did similar scenarios, which I was like, how is he doing that? How is he doing that? How does he know that? And now I do it, right? I used to watch that because I used to commute to the city, New York City. In Jersey, you say the city. So on the bus or on the train, and I would just watch him in the mornings, call the markets, and then he would compare it to the previous day. That's also common that I'm going to try to set that up with my AI agent to more or less, because again, I'm nailing pretty much the scenarios every morning. It's kind of just how it works. And I'm going to make a channel called Receipts or some kind of channel like that to reference, even for myself, to track it, to go, okay, that was correct, that was correct, that was correct, because it's getting to be just, that's the norm, really, to call what's going to happen. Now, does that always turn into money? Not always, but it's still a good marker to say, hey, your analysis is spot on, right? Your analysis is spot on. All right, now, if you want to join me live today. Go to my YouTube homepage, click on the link, join Confluence Trading. I'm doing a lot of changes, okay? Trying to make the experience better. You know I haven't gave a lot of trade recaps, even though I have a bunch of nice trades to talk about. But I'm concentrating right now on my process, and I want to make sure everything's polished for when I start doing videos again. Okay? I know that's how I drive more traffic into my channel, but I'm all right with that because right now I'm concentrating on my process, and it's very consistent. Okay? It's very consistent right now, and I just want to keep that momentum going, and then eventually we'll start doing videos again, and you guys will get. I just want to solidify my process, which is pretty much is, but there's always little tweaks that I can do. Okay? Now everybody, have a great day. Have a great day. Remember, no trade's a trade. Hope everybody stays green today. All right? Hope everybody stays green today. And remember, the expected, what I expect is we should go lower today. It doesn't mean that's in stone. It just means by what I'm seeing, I would think we go lower. Now, I know semis are strong right now, right? But we're in a range. So that's what I expect today. Anything can happen. That's the beauty of it. This could change, right? I usually have different intraday scenarios as well. All right? Everybody have a great day. If I don't see you in my Discord, which I hope I do, I'll see you guys tomorrow morning. Take it easy.